The monitor flatlined at 2:47 a.m. Blake Sutton, billionaire, renowned surgeon, the man who'd spent 18 years waiting for love, stood frozen as the woman carrying his child stopped breathing. "Nicole!" His scream shattered the sterile silence of the ICU. "Nicole, no!" 6 months pregnant, 28 weeks. Their daughter, the one they'd named Hope before she was even born, fighting for life inside a mother whose heart had just stopped beating. Blake's hands, the hands that had performed thousands of surgeries, that had saved countless lives, were shaking so violently he could barely grip the bed rails. "Don't you dare leave me," he choked out, tears streaming down his face as doctors and nurses flooded the room. "Not now, not after everything." "Nicole, please." But she didn't hear him, because 12 hours earlier, a monster had walked out of prison, and the war for everything Blake loved had begun again. Welcome back to the story that made you believe in love that waits, in promises that are kept, and in second chances that heal everything broken. If you're new here and haven't watched part 1, you need to see how this love story began, how an 8-year-old girl walked 2 miles in the dark to find the man who promised to save her mother. How a billionaire spent 18 years loving a woman who said no. How love finally won against impossible odds. The link to part 1 is right above this video. Watch it first, then come back. Trust me, you'll want the full story. For everyone who's been waiting for part 2, buckle up. Because just when Blake and Nicole thought they'd found their happy ending, the past came back with a vengeance. And this time, the stakes aren't just a broken heart. They're life and death for 3 people Blake loves more than his own soul. Let's dive in. 6 months earlier, the garden of Sutton Medical Center had never looked more beautiful. 200 guests watched as Blake Sutton, devastatingly handsome in his black tuxedo, tears already streaming down his face, stood at the altar waiting for the woman who'd made him wait 18 years. When Nicole appeared at the end of the aisle, Blake forgot how to breathe. She was ethereal in a simple white silk gown that hugged her petite frame, her natural black curls adorned with tiny white roses, her rich brown skin glowing in the afternoon sunlight. She'd gained healthy weight since leaving the hospital 3 months ago. The bruises were gone. The fear in her eyes had been replaced with joy. She was whole again, and she was walking toward him. Callista, now 9 years old, wearing her flower girl dress, held her mother's hand as they walked together down the aisle. When they reached the altar, Blake took Nicole's hands and his voice broke immediately. "I can't do this without crying," he admitted, and the guests laughed through their own tears. "Then cry," Nicole whispered, smiling. "I plan to." The officiant cleared his throat. "We are gathered here today." "Wait," Blake interrupted. "I need to say something first." He turned to Nicole, and the look in his hazel eyes made her knees weak. 18 years ago, I told you I loved you. You said no. And for 18 years, I carried that rejection like a stone in my chest. I built an empire trying to forget you. I made billions trying to prove I could be happy without you. But every woman I met, I compared to you. Every potential future I measured against the one I could have had if you'd said yes. Nicole was crying now. And then you walked back into my life, scared, trapped, and I realized something. Blake's voice cracked. That rejection 18 years ago, it wasn't a tragedy. It was preparation. Because the boy I was at 18 couldn't have saved you. Couldn't have protected you. Couldn't have fought for you the way you deserved. I needed those 18 years to become the man strong enough to love you right. Blake? Nicole's voice broke completely. So thank you, Blake continued, tears falling freely, for saying no 18 years ago, because it made me become the man worthy of your yes today. There wasn't a dry eye in the garden. Nicole cupped his face in her small hands. I love you so much, Blake Sutton. You make me braver, stronger, better. You make me whole. Blake kissed her before the officiant could pronounce them married. And when they finally pulled apart, he whispered against her lips, mine. Finally mine. Yours, Nicole whispered back. Always yours. 3 months later, Nicole found Blake in his study at home, reviewing hospital acquisition reports at 10 p.m. You work too much, she said from the doorway. Blake looked up and smiled, that devastating smile that still made her heart stutter. Says the woman who just enrolled in nursing school full-time. I have dreams to chase. Nicole walked to him, and Blake immediately pushed his chair back, pulling her onto his lap. And I love watching you chase them, he murmured, pressing a kiss to her neck. Nicole took a deep breath. Blake, I need to tell you something. His arms tightened around her. What's wrong? Are you okay? Did something... I'm pregnant. Blake froze, completely froze. Nicole pulled back to look at his face. Blake, say something. Anything. His hazel eyes were wide, filling with tears. Pregnant? We're having a baby. Nicole's own eyes filled. I'm 8 weeks along. I found out yesterday, but I wanted to be sure before I told you. Blake stood up so fast he nearly knocked her over, then caught her, then set her gently on the desk like she was made of glass. You're pregnant, he said again, like he couldn't quite believe it. Yes, we're having a baby. Yes, our baby. Blake, yes. He kissed her desperately, then pulled back, eyes wild. Are you okay? Do you feel okay? Should you be standing? Should you sit? Do you need water? Food? A doctor? I'm a doctor. No, wait, I can't be your doctor. Conflict of interest. Nicole laughed, grabbing his face. Blake, breathe. I'm fine. The baby's fine. Everything's perfect. Blake dropped to his knees in front of her, pressing his forehead to her still flat stomach. Hi, baby, he whispered. I'm your dad. I'm going to love you so much. I'm going to protect you and your mama with everything I have. You're already the most loved person in the world. Nicole ran her fingers through his hair, tears streaming down her face. I never thought I'd get this, Blake said, his voice muffled against her stomach. A wife, a family, a baby. I thought I'd spend my life alone, loving someone who didn't want me. Well, she wants you now, Nicole whispered. She wants you forever. Blake looked up at her, and the love in his eyes was so intense it hurt. I'm going to be a dad, he said, wonder in his voice. The best dad, Nicole promised. A girl, Blake said suddenly. I want a girl who looks just like you. What if it's a boy? Then I'll want him to have your eyes, your smile, your kindness, your strength. Blake stood, pulling her against him. I want a whole house full of little versions of you. Let's start with one and see how it goes, Nicole laughed. But that night, as they lay in bed with Blake's hand on her stomach, they both felt the same thing. Complete and perfect happiness. But they couldn't have known it wouldn't last. 5 months later, Nicole was 6 months pregnant, beautifully, gloriously pregnant, when Blake's phone rang at 7 a.m. on a Tuesday morning. Victor Kane's voice was grim. Boss, we have a problem. Blake was making breakfast. Trying to make breakfast while Nicole sat at the kitchen island critiquing his scrambled eggs technique, and he nearly dropped the pan. What kind of problem? Dominic Freeman was released from prison yesterday. The kitchen went silent. Nicole's hand went to her swollen belly protectively. What? Blake's face had gone white. That's impossible. He had 12 more years on his sentence. His family, Victor said. Old money, powerful connections. They'd been working the system for months, appeals, technicalities, calling in favors from judges his father went to law school with. They argued prosecutorial misconduct, claimed bias because of your involvement, got 3 convictions overturned on technicalities. The whole case collapsed. Where is he now? Blake's voice was ice. Unknown. He was released at 6 a.m. yesterday. We lost track of him after he left the facility. Blake looked at Nicole. Her face had lost all color. Find him, Blake ordered. Now, I want to know where he is, what he's doing, who he's talking to every minute of every day. Understood. Already on it. Blake hung up and immediately went to Nicole, pulling her into his arms. He can't hurt you, Blake said firmly. The restraining order is still in place. He comes within 500 feet of you, he goes straight back to prison. You don't understand, Nicole whispered, trembling. He doesn't care about restraining orders. He doesn't care about going back to prison. Blake, he's going to do nothing, Blake interrupted, cupping her face. Because I won't let him. You hear me? I won't let him touch you or our baby or Callista. I promise. But even as he said it, Blake felt cold dread settling in his stomach. Because men like Dominic Freeman didn't just disappear quietly. They came back for revenge. The custody petition arrived via courier at 3 p.m. on a Friday. Blake was in surgery when his lawyer called Nicole directly. Mrs. Sutton, we have a situation. Nicole, who'd been at home resting per Blake's increasingly protective orders, felt her blood run cold. What is it? Dominic Freeman has filed for emergency custody of Callista. The world tilted. That's impossible. He has no parental rights. He surrendered them. The court... He's claiming he was coerced into surrendering his rights while under duress. Nicole's hand went to her belly where their daughter, Hope, was kicking. Can he win? The lawyer hesitated too long. Oh God, Nicole whispered. We'll fight this, the lawyer assured her. Blake's legal team is the best in the country, but I need you to prepare for a battle. Dominic is claiming he's reformed, rehabilitated, that he deserves a chance to know his daughter. His daughter he beat me in front of, Nicole said, her voice shaking with rage. His daughter who watched him nearly kill me. His daughter who ran for help in the dark because she knew he was going to murder me. That daughter? I know, and we'll use all of that. But Mrs. Sutton, he's playing dirty. He's claiming Blake has alienated Callista from him. That you've brainwashed her. That he's a changed man who deserves... Nicole hung up. Then she called Blake. Get home, she said when he answered. Now. Blake arrived home 40 minutes later, leaving his surgery to his resident, something he'd never done before, to find Nicole pacing the living room, Callista beside her looking terrified. He wants me back, Callista said, her voice small. She was 9, but in that moment she looked 5. Mama, I don't want to go back to him. Blake knelt in front of her. You're not going anywhere, I promise. Blake's right, Nicole said, one hand on her belly. We're going to protect you, baby. But that night, after Callista was asleep, Nicole broke down in Blake's arms. What if he wins? She sobbed. What if the judge gives him visitation? What if he takes her, Blake? What if he hurts her to hurt us? He won't. Blake held her tighter. I'll burn every dollar I have. I'll move us to another country if I have to, but he will not touch our daughter. Daughters, Nicole corrected, her hand on her belly. We have 2 daughters to protect now. Blake's hand covered hers. Then that's what we'll do, together. Victor Kane's investigation revealed Dominic's strategy quickly. He wasn't trying to kidnap Callista. He was trying to rattle them out, most likely for his hidden plan which they couldn't figure out yet. He should know he can't win custody, Victor explained in Blake's office 3 days later. He must be planning something criminal. He had been following Nicole at a distance, always just outside the restraining order radius. Taking photos of her and Callista. He's stalking her, Blake said, fury in his voice. Legally, he's gathering evidence for his custody case, Victor said grimly. His lawyers are smart. They're staying just inside the law. Blake's fist slammed on his desk. So what do? We build our own case, document his behavior, prove he's intimidating her, but most importantly, we increase security around you and your family to prevent any surprise. What does he want? Blake demanded. Really want? Victor's expression darkened. Revenge. He wants you to suffer the way he did. He lost everything, career, reputation, freedom. Now he wants to take everything from you. He can't have them, Blake said. I don't care what it costs. If this story is gripping your heart, if you're on the edge of your seat wondering what happens next, please hit that subscribe button right now. Share this with someone who needs to see that love fights back. And comment below where you're watching from, because this community is global and we want to know you're here with us. Because what happens next, it's going to break your heart before it heals it. Don't go anywhere. Blake insisted on extra security for the drive to the hearing. I'm scared, Nicole said, one hand on her belly where Hope was doing somersaults. He's a very dangerous man, Blake. Don't worry, I won't rest until he's back in prison, Blake muttered. With security in place, they should be safe. They were wrong. The black SUV hit them at the intersection 3 blocks to the courthouse. T-boned the driver's side at 50 miles per hour, sending Blake and Nicole's car spinning. Nicole screamed. Blake tried to shield her with his body, but physics won. The car slammed into a traffic light pole. Metal crumpled, glass shattered, airbags deployed, and then silence. Blake's ears were ringing. His head was bleeding, but his only thought was, Nicole. She was slumped against her seatbelt, unconscious, blood on her face. And her dress, her beautiful maternity dress, was turning red. Nicole! Blake's hands were shaking as he reached for her. Baby, wake up, Nicole! She didn't respond. Blake saw the SUV that hit them, saw the driver speeding away, saw Dominic Freeman in the passenger seat looking back with a smile. No! Blake fumbled for his phone, called 911. My wife, she's pregnant, 7 months, there's blood, she's not responding, please? Victor's car screeched up behind them, Victor jumping out. Boss, get an ambulance. Now, and find Dominic Freeman. Find him! Blake turned back to Nicole, his hands gentle on her face despite the panic. Nicole, sweetheart, stay with me. Please stay with me. Don't leave me. Please don't leave me. But as the ambulance arrived and EMTs loaded Nicole onto a stretcher, Blake saw the amount of blood. And for the first time in 18 years of being a surgeon, Blake Sutton felt helpless. Blake rode in the ambulance, holding Nicole's hand as EMTs worked frantically. We're losing fetal heart tones, one announced. Blake's world tilted. Nicole, please, baby, stay with me. That's all that matters. You're all I've ever wanted, Blake sobbed. At Sutton Medical Center, Blake's entire surgical team was waiting. Dr. Patricia Hayes, his mentor, the woman who'd taught him everything, met them at the door. Blake, you can't operate on your own wife. The hell I can't. You're emotionally compromised. You're bleeding. You probably have a concussion yourself. Patricia, that's my wife and my daughter in there. I'm not sitting in a waiting room while... Then assist, Patricia said firmly. But I'm lead surgeon. Non-negotiable. Blake wanted to argue, but he looked at Nicole, pale, bleeding, terrified, and nodded. They rushed her to OR. Blake scrubbed in with shaking hands. Talk to me, he demanded as they prepped Nicole for emergency cesarean. What are we looking at? Placental abruption, Patricia said grimly. Severe. The baby's in distress. We need to get her out now. She's only 28 weeks, Blake said, his voice breaking. Her lungs aren't fully developed. Her chances are better outside than in, Patricia interrupted. Blake, focus. I need you here. Blake leaned down, pressing his forehead to hers. I promise I'll save you. You hear me? Both of you. I'm making the incision, Patricia announced. Blake watched helplessly as Patricia worked, her hands steady where his would have been shaking. Baby's out, Patricia said. For a horrible moment there was silence, no cry. No sound. Blake felt his world ending. Then, a tiny, weak cry filled the OR. She's alive, Patricia said, handing the baby to the neonatal team. 2 pounds, 3 ounces. NICU team, she's all yours. Blake watched his daughter, tiny, red, struggling, being whisked away by specialists. Go with her, Patricia ordered. Make sure she's okay. I'm not leaving her. She'll be fine. Go meet your daughter. Patricia needed him to leave, as she wasn't sure of Nicole's survival. Blake shouldn't witness such scenario, although she would do her very best to prevent that. He looked at Nicole again, pressed a kiss on her forehead and whispered, I'll be back, baby. Please be fine. Blake ran, Hope Sutton was so small she fit in Blake's 2 hands. Tubes everywhere, monitors beeping, incubator warming her tiny body, but she was alive. Blake stood there, staring at this tiny person, his daughter, and felt something break open in his chest. "Hi, baby girl," he whispered through the incubator. "I'm your daddy. Your mama is the strongest woman in the world, and she just fought like hell to get you here. Now you have to fight too, okay? Fight to stay with us. Fight to grow strong. Fight to live." His phone buzzed. "Patricia, Nicole is stable. But Blake, there were complications. Get back here." Blake found Patricia outside the OR, still in her surgical gear. Her face was grim. "What happened?" Blake demanded. "Blake, sit down. Tell me." "Now." Patricia took a breath. "Nicole started hemorrhaging during the procedure. We got it under control, but..." She paused. "Blake, we had to perform an emergency hysterectomy." The words hit Blake like a physical blow. "What?" The damage was too extensive. The placental abruption, the trauma from the accident, we couldn't save her uterus. "She'll recover, but..." Patricia's voice softened. "She can't have any more children." Blake sat down heavily. "Does she know?" "Not yet. She's still in recovery. Blake, you need to be the one to tell her." Blake put his head in his hands because he knew how Nicole would take this news. Another thing stolen from her, another piece of the future they'd dreamed about, gone. "Is she going to be okay?" Blake asked, his voice hollow. "Physically? Yes, the surgery was successful. But emotionally..." Patricia put a hand on his shoulder. "That's going to take time." Blake nodded, stood up. "Can I see her? She's in recovery, should be waking up in the next hour." Blake went to check on Hope first. Still fighting, still alive, then made his way to Nicole's room. Nicole woke slowly, her eyes fluttering open to find Blake sitting beside her bed, holding her hand. "Blake?" Her voice was hoarse from the breathing tube. "I'm here." He brought her hand to his lips, kissing her knuckles gently. "The baby?" "Hope? Is she..." Panic filled Nicole's eyes. "She's alive," Blake said quickly, and watched relief flood Nicole's face. "She's in NICU. 2 pounds, 3 ounces. She's tiny and she's early, but she's fighting, Nicole. She's so strong, just like her mama." Nicole started crying. "Can I see her?" "Soon. As soon as you're strong enough." Blake hesitated. "Nicole, there's something I need to tell you." And her face, God, her face, showed she already knew something was wrong. "What happened?" she whispered. Blake took a shaky breath. "During the surgery, you started hemorrhaging. Patricia and the team did everything they could, but..." His voice cracked. "Nicole, they had to perform a hysterectomy. Your uterus, they couldn't save it." The silence was deafening. Nicole stared at him, processing. "I can't have more children," she said flatly. "No, Hope is the only baby we'll ever have together." "Yes." Nicole broke down in tears, and Blake saw her shoulders start to shake. "Nicole," he said softly. She couldn't stop her tears and turned away. "Baby, please." "Talk to me. I can't bear to see you so hurt like this." He stole from me again. "I'm so sorry, baby. I'm so sorry." Nicole finally turned, and the emptiness in her eyes gutted him. "He took it from me," she sobbed. "The chance to give you more children. The chance to feel life growing inside me again. He took it." "I don't care about more children," Blake said desperately. "I care about you. We have Hope. We have Callista. We have each other. That's enough. That's more than enough." "You say that now. I'll say it forever," Blake interrupted, crossing to her. "Nicole, listen to me. I didn't fall in love with you because of what you could give me. I fell in love with you, the woman you are, your strength, your kindness, your heart. Children are a blessing, but you are the gift, you." Nicole's eyes filled with tears. "I feel broken, Blake, like he took the last piece of me that was whole." "Then let me help you put the pieces back together," Blake said, cupping her face. "Again, for as long as it takes. That's what I do, remember? I wait. I fight. I never give up on you. What if I give up on myself? Then I'll carry you until you remember how strong you are. Blake pressed his forehead to hers. You survived him, Nicole, twice. You brought our daughter into this world against impossible odds. You are the strongest person I have ever known. And yes, he hurt you, but he didn't break you. He never could. Nicole collapsed against him, sobbing, and Blake held her, whispering promises into her hair, feeling her slowly start to come back to him. I'm so tired, Nicole whispered. I know. I want this to be over. It will soon be over. Victor found Dominic and he is in custody. I promise I will make him pay. Then why do I still feel like I'm drowning? Blake pulled back to look at her. Because trauma doesn't end just because the danger does. Because healing takes time. Because you're allowed to feel broken while you're rebuilding. But Nicole, you won't drown. I won't let you. Promise? I promise. Blake only allowed his injured head to be treated when Nicole was better, and insisted he needed to be cared for. You care about everyone else so much that you forgot you're injured too? You are my world, he said, smiling, and I can only survive if you are fine. He kissed her then, soft and tender. On day 21, Hope opened her eyes. Nicole was doing kangaroo care, holding Hope skin to skin against her chest when it happened. Tiny dark eyes fluttered open and looked up at her mother. Blake! Nicole breathed. Blake! Blake rushed over from where he'd been reviewing Hope's charts. She's awake, Nicole whispered, tears streaming down her face. She's looking at me. Blake looked down at his daughter, eyes open, looking at her mother with what could only be described as awareness. Hi, baby girl, Blake whispered. We've been waiting to meet you. Hope blinked slowly, her tiny hand gripping Nicole's finger. She knows me, Nicole sobbed. Blake, she knows me. Of course she does, Blake said, his own eyes wet. You're her mama, you fought for her. She fought for you, she knows. The neonatologist came over, examined Hope, and smiled. This is good, she said, really good. She's showing signs of awareness and responsiveness earlier than expected. Your daughter is a miracle, Mr. and Mrs. Sutton. She gets it from her mother, Blake said, looking at Nicole with such love it hurt. 3 months later, Dominic Freeman was sentenced to 50 years imprisonment, no possibility of parole, for attempted murder, conspiracy, assault with a deadly weapon, and violation of a restraining order. His family lawyers had tried everything: appeals, technicalities, claiming temporary insanity. Nothing worked. He was eventually murdered 6 months later in his prison cell by another deranged inmate, who claimed someone as hideous as him should not breathe the same air as he does. 6 months later, Hope was 10 months old, adjusted age 6 months given her premature birth, and thriving. She had Blake's hazel eyes and Nicole's beautiful brown skin and smile that lit up entire rooms. Nicole had returned to nursing school part-time, determined to finish her degree. Callista was excelling in 5th grade and had started a program at school helping other children of domestic violence. And Blake? Blake had started a foundation, the Hope Foundation, providing free legal services, medical care, and safe housing for domestic violence survivors. They'd helped 50 families in the first 6 months alone. You're changing the world, Nicole told him one evening as they sat on their penthouse balcony, Hope sleeping in Nicole's arms. Callista doing homework inside. I'm just making sure what happened to you never happens to anyone else if I can help it, Blake said. Nicole looked at him. This man who'd loved her through everything, who'd saved her repeatedly, who'd built their family from ashes and trauma. I love you, she said. In case I don't say it enough. I love you so much it scares me sometimes. Blake smiled. Good scared or bad scared? Good scared. The kind of scared that comes from knowing if I lost you, I'd never recover. You're never losing me, Blake promised. I waited 18 years for you. I'm not going anywhere for the next 18. Or the 18 after that. Or, Nicole laughed, I get it. You're stuck with me. Best thing that ever happened to me. Blake said seriously. Hope stirred in Nicole's arms, making soft baby sounds. She's waking up, Nicole said. Give her to me, Blake said, reaching for his daughter. Hope settled immediately in her father's arms, those hazel eyes blinking up at him. Hi, baby girl, Blake whispered. Did you have a good nap? Hope cooed, her tiny hand reaching for his face. Blake caught her hand and kissed it gently. You know what? He said to Nicole. A year ago, I thought I'd lost everything. You were in a coma. Hope was fighting for her life. Dominic was terrorizing us. I thought maybe this time we wouldn't make it. But we did, Nicole said softly. We did, Blake agreed, and it made me realize something. We can survive anything. As long as we're together, we can survive anything. Nicole moved closer, leaning her head on his shoulder as they both watched Hope. Thank you, she said quietly. For what? For never giving up on me. For waiting 18 years. For fighting for me when I couldn't fight for myself. For saving me. Again and again and again. Blake kissed the top of her head. That's what love does. It waits. It fights. It never, ever gives up. If this story moved you, if it made you cry, if it reminded you that love really can heal anything, please don't just scroll past. Hit that subscribe button. Share this with every person you know who needs hope. Comment below with where you're watching from and tag someone who needs to hear this story. Introducing our new ebook, Love After Loss. A gentle guide for every woman who's learning to love again after heartbreak. If you've been finding healing and hope through our stories, you can get your copy of Love After Loss using the link in the description below or the pinned comment. It's our way of walking beside you, one step at a time. Thank you for being here. Thank you for believing in this story. Thank you for being part of this community that believes in second chances and love that never gives up. See you in the next story. Until then, keep believing in love that waits.